Alright everyone, hello. Now, in the past, week or so, someone went on a little bit of a tirade in my comment section. Which was kind of perplexing to me because this person, I kind of could tell was coming in a little bit of bad faith, but seems to be chill for the most part on my channel. They'd always had a bit of a problem with me, insisting that demons are not the spooky boogeymen that Christianity has made them out to be for so many years, but, to each their own. I totally understand people still being, I guess, spooked, shaken by the concept of demons. It's just that on this channel, where we understand that you can't have light without dark, that all things are in balance, that, yeah, they're gonna come up from time to time. I've engaged with them personally. I work with them on a very specific thing I'm working through right now, and you know what? I think they're neat.
I just think they're neat.
But as you can see, this person, just one day decided to wake up and choose violence. Which, okay, I'm glad they got my book. If they didn't like my book, Where the Gods Left Off, I understand that. Not everyone's gonna like it. However, this obviously had to do with the fact that, a demon appeared in it. I think, 3 or 4 demons appeared in it. 4 demons. 5. 6. 6 demons appeared in it, actually. So you know what? I thought, why not make today a great day to tell you about how I personally go about contacting demons. Now, in Discovering Christian Witchcraft, I actually do have a chapter on demons specifically. Not necessarily, in depth and, how to summon one, I guess, but definitely on, how to get over that long-pressed fear of them and how to approach them if you ever did decide that you wanted to get into that, as well as some references to read about demons and, all that kind of stuff. So, obviously, in the very beginning of Christian Witchcraft, demons might still be spooky, and you might, not want to work with them right away. That's okay, but at least being told what they are, how they work, what they do, that's helpful, because for a long time I was very much superstitious about a lot of the stuff, and I was not very sure, what they were or how to go about them. Now that I know more, I'm really not afraid of demons at all, nor do I worry about demonic manifestations in my life. So I figured I would share that same thing with you. Now, I've already talked a little bit about, demons as a tool of deconstruction and shadow work in a different video, but this one is purely going to be about how I personally go about engaging with working with one. And that starts with figuring out what exactly it is I'm trying to do in the first place. So this is a tarot deck I have called Occult Tarot by Travis McHenry. I also have his Angel Tarot. They're both really good as, communication decks, not really as tarot decks. And what I mean by that is that they don't really have the actual tarot definitions in them. So, they're not really helpful if you're just trying to normally read tarot. What they do, though, is actually give you, for instance, with Forest here, they give you, the picture of the demon, the name of it, the sigil it has, so, at the bottom here is its sigil, all these other things, as well as in Hebrew, the name of the residing angel that kind of pairs along with it, right? Because angels are thought to be able to kind of contain them a little bit. Verbiage is verbiaging there. But it tells you what they do, and it also is just really good to put down in the middle of a table if you're trying to work with them. You don't need to have this deck, obviously. I'm just saying it's a really, really convenient tool for the demons of the Ars Goetia. However, if you took a pencil and a piece of paper and just drew their sigil instead, or printed it out, or what have you, that would also work. So what I'll typically do is, if I'm trying to work with, say, Lucifer, I will take this out, I will put it on the table and have it as a centering focus piece, and that way I am very able to visualize, see, center that energy on my coffee table. So, I'll just put this down, and around it will go some crystals that align with or represent the demon I'm trying to work with, as well as a candle, as well as some incense like dragon's blood as an offering. On one side will go a drink that I intend to share with the demon. On the other side, maybe a snack if I have any. For example, King Payman, whose element is water, for him, I would give some kind of water-based, alcoholic drink, maybe a blueberry liqueur, or maybe some kind of other cucumber drink, something like that. And then for an offering of food, there would be blackberries, raspberries, things like that. And for his camel, of course, a bowl of oats and a bowl of water. Certain demons are very specific with what they want. Certain demons are, really conscious about the partners that come with them as well. In my first communication with King Payman, I absolutely did put something out for his attending princes as well, and his first camel. So, you know, things like that, that just shows that you're there respectfully. There's an entire branch of magic called Solomonic magic that deals with demons in a way that most modern demonologers are going to warn you against, and that I'm going to warn you against as well. I absolutely do talk about it in Discovering Christian Witchcraft and why it's not good to try. Basically, if you've ever seen anyone work with a demon in a Hollywood movie and they get radically screwed for it, it's not because, oh, demons, oh, shucks, that's just how demons are. No, it's because the way Solomonic magic works is really rude. Just straight out. Basically, the way Solomonic magic works is it involves this kind of setup, this contraption here, which is largely based in like ripped off Jewish mysticism, you know, Jewish Kabbalah, because it's going off of the idea that King Solomon from the Bible is basically able to bind demons and make them do what he wants. And we see this both, you know, throughout all kinds of lore, but also in like the Testament of Solomon, where King Solomon literally manages to bind King Asmodeus and force King Asmodeus to build a temple of God with his demon strength. Wild move, crazy, but still, it's something that literally is within the bounds of Jewish mysticism, and that's because it's thought that Archangel Michael gave King Solomon a ring that made him able to trap demons and coerce them to do what he wanted. So this contraption here, basically what it does is it puts the practitioner in this big circle, and it's kind of like a protective circle, right? If you're a witch who casts a circle, the practitioner goes there, and then in that little circle in the triangle above it, that's where some kind of brass vessel goes, and that brass vessel is used to trap a demon inside and basically hold it outside of that circle. That way, the demon cannot get to the practitioner, but it also can't really go anywhere. It's just stuck, it's trapped. I'll say this once. If angels are like dogs, demons are like cats. What happens when you try to force a cat to do something it doesn't want to do? It absolutely will hate you. It hates you, it hisses, it spits, it claws, it scratches. It stops being a fun time. And so the thing with Solomonic magic is, does it work? Yes. Is it effective? Yes. Does it get you what you want? Yes. But at some point, you gotta let that circle go. And you gotta send that demon back from whence it came. And if you don't do any of those steps correctly, and you give that demon the chance to basically take vengeance on you for putting it in such a humiliating position, it's not gonna go well. It's better instead to approach demons with the same respect you would give anybody, any person, any deity, anyone, any animal, anybody, any living creature, any autonomous soul. If you would approach them with respect and dignity, do so with demons as well. Don't let your own biases and your own preconceived notion of demons get in the way. That doesn't mean that you just like, you know, suck up to them or, you know, just kind of sit there and like bow down to them. No, not necessarily, right? Not like you would do for any other person. But when you meet a new person, you don't immediately trust them with your life. You don't immediately bring them into your home. Generally, when you meet a new person, you meet them in public, right? You meet them someplace where there's other people. You get to know them a little bit first, and then you can start to trust them a little bit more. With spirits, you always want to be kind, but still be firm in your own boundaries and saying, hey, I don't know, it doesn't sound right. If you get uncomfortable, by all means, get out of there. But like, you don't need to do this nonsense trapping them in a circle and causing problems to work with demons. Generally, what I've found is that if you respect them, they will respect you, and that they're really not nearly as interested in screwing with you as a lot of people want you to think. So once I have all of these things set up, right, and so once I've gone into the Ars Goetia or wherever else, and I find what element they're associated with, so for instance, Azazel is associated with air, King Payman, like I said, is associated with water, so on and so forth, and I find the corresponding herbs and gems and gifts to match that element, then I'm ready to rock and roll. And of course, as a Christian witch, I don't do these things without consulting God first. Like, I do ask God about what he thinks about it, about like what he thinks I should keep in mind. I start with the Lord's Prayer, which is my way of kind of setting my own space and signifying that no matter who is with me, it's God that still presides over and watches over that space. But After that, once the Lord's Prayer is done, and I've lit the incense and I've asked the demon to come forth, what happens after that is entirely depending on what the hell I called them there for in the first place. And what the whole thing is basically just a moment of meditation, right? So I'm not sitting here necessarily doing any crazy, like, weird spells. Usually the crazy spells I do are ones that end up being done with the angels and with God above all, right? But with demons, it's really just, it's basically shadow work. I'm basically doing some really intense and regimented and, like, strictly partitioned shadow work with the demons right now. And it's definitely been tough. The thing about demons is that when you try to address your shadow with them, they do so by burning down whatever it is that was keeping you stuck in that part of your shadow. So if you had, like, an insecurity, for example, and you were really insecure about something will likely happen that will absolutely trigger those insecurities and pretty much put you in the spot where you have to make a decision. Do you continue to honor that insecurity and hurt yourself really badly? Or do you finally cut it off, patch it up, and say, you know what, I'm getting the fuck out of Dodge. Every single time I've gone through another piece of this project I'm doing with these demons, that is exactly how it's been. It's been, yep, here's a meditation that kind of shows you the symbolic aspect of what it is we're working on, that shows you how to navigate these infernal, hellish spaces, right? Like, hell is not a place people go, but it is absolutely a place demons live. So they're interesting realms. They're not exactly what people say they are. They're fascinating to walk through, you know, in a mental meditation. But it's hard to connect them with the real life result until the real life result happens. So all I can say is that once you're done doing that meditation and, you know, you pull whatever cards you pull, you talk to them, you ask questions, you explore, you know, you let them show you what they're trying to show you. After that, and you close it out, which is really just a matter of, right, like, I clap my hands to signify that the link is broken, and then get rid of my offerings, either by throwing them outside or, if I have permission, eating them. After that, keep your eyes peeled, because the results of that meditation and that work that you did with them will show up in interesting ways. And they will show up in ways that absolutely blow everything apart. However, if you succeed and you survive that that storm that they put you through in whatever meditation you do with them, when you come out on the other side, you end up better off for it, right? Things that didn't serve you are demolished and are gone and can no longer touch you. Things that you didn't realize were a problem, you see now clearly and are no longer a problem, and you can be on your guard for those things again. And doors that were previously closed to you, opportunities you wouldn't have guessed, suddenly come open. I work with demons because God said that I should. So clearly there is something here. There's something going on that God wants me to know. God wants me to work through in this specific way. And I've learned a lot from working with demons. I have learned another layer of open-mindedness, compassion, of being able to hold the fact that two things can be true at once, which has served me immeasurably in dealing with people, right? Because a lot of people still think very black and white. They think that if they're right, everyone else must be wrong, and if they're wrong, everyone else must be right. Not necessarily. People can be wrong and right about things at the same time. People can be right about a part of a thing and wrong about another part of the same thing. A lot of it can honestly not even be a situation of right and wrong in the first place, but simply what people need versus what they don't need, and a lot of people don't understand that. So in my work with demons, I honestly feel like somehow, ironically, the fear has left, that, like, all of this stuff about spiritual warfare and whatever has just kind of disappeared from my mind entirely. Because when you get to know them, these demons, and you realize that, like, oh, it's not really the demons that are the problem, it's the people that are the problem, and that the function of demons in the first place is to reveal people's problems very viscerally, you understand why people don't like demons. Because it's really difficult to be faced with all of your flaws, and all of your missteps, and all of your just junk and gunk that is all over your soul in such a plain, bare way. All demons do is hold up a mirror. And so if you don't like what you're looking at when you look at them, it's because you gotta take a bigger look at yourself. Not because the demon's trying to harass you. The demon's trying to show you what your problem is. The demon's trying to see if you have the chutzpah to handle fixing that problem. And if you don't, then by all means be taken by your delusions and don't cry when things happen to you in ways that you don't want. However, if you do got the chutzpah and you are brave enough and you want to do that, then frankly, this method is pretty simple. And if there's ever a time where you feel that you're uncomfortable with the demons, again, just close it down and get it out of there. Make sure that you know the angel that corresponds to whatever demon you're working with, and if you really must, ask them for help, ask them to come by. If the demon just won't leave you alone, ask that angel to come down and help you out. They likely will, but the biggest thing is that demons will test you. They will, just like angels will test you. Except unlike angels, demons, are a lot more do or die about it, right? Angels are there to see if you will fall for tricks and illusions. Angels are there to see if you can figure out right from wrong. Demons are there to just show you, this is your problem, this is what will happen if you don't fix it. Fix it or not, I don't really care, and then they're moving on. And I will also say, you know that you're working with a demon just by the way they feel, because they feel radically different from angels. Demons, whenever I feel them, they feel like an anxiety response, almost. Like, I know they're around when suddenly my entire spine just lights up with those, like, cold prickles, and it feels like I just have an eyeball staring, like, a dagger into my back. That's not because they're evil or bad, that's just how their energy reads, right? So it just triggers some primal fear response in people. Meanwhile, when angels are around, it feels like there's a grand presence, but it's usually warm. It feels like I'm getting hugged from behind. It feels like I'm being wrapped in like some kind of armor. It's a totally different feel. Completely different. You know it's time to work with a demon or a specific kind when they tell you, basically. And so what I mean by that is that, like, with demons, I've had some really visceral experiences with them. Like, angels will, again, you know, they'll test me to see if I can figure out that it's them. They will push and poke and prod at me to see if I will jump to conclusions or not, until finally they reveal that it's been an angel all along, and that yay hooray, I was able to think and not, like, you know, just immediately assume something was out to get me. Great. Like, I've had sleep paralysis moments where I thought it was a demon coming after me, and then it was actually just angels testing me. This happens in Where the Gods Left Off in King Payman's interview, if you're interested in reading about that. But I also had experiences with demons that are exactly the opposite, in that it's very obvious who I'm talking to immediately in the craziest way. So, for example, basically, one night I was having a dream. I was just about to wake up. I could kind of feel that I was, you know, on the edge of waking, but I was still dreaming, you know, I was still asleep. It was that, like, in-between moment. But suddenly I felt my back just light up the way that it does when demons are nearby. And I said, okay, I know that feeling. I know that somebody's here. Who is here? And I kid you not, in the pitch blackness behind my eyelids, it just kind of wrote itself out like in red Dark Souls script. Lucifuge Rofacal. Couldn't really get any clearer than that. And so I'm thinking, okay, that was very direct and very obvious and extremely clear. Let me go and see if this is like maybe another interview I could do, you know, interview with the god style. And so as I'm looking him up, I realized, oh, he's considered to be in charge of another step of my journey. Like, it was undeniable and visceral and very clear that, yep, it's time to go on to the next thing. You passed the last test, time to do the next one. They don't really play around, you know? They really don't. They really try to let you know who they are, because they're not trying to waste their time. They're not trying to waste your time. They're trying to see if you'll either get it or not. Likewise, another dream I had was being in a pool, right? A pool that, before it drained, I looked at my arm, and there was, clear as day, the sigil of King Payman. So, the next day I dragged my ass up and go talk to King Payman and do some more stuff that was, you know, related to this whole journey I'm on with them right now. And it was, again, just really visceral. Like, there was no mistaking that sigil that just appeared there. And I was like, okay, in a pool of water, with that sigil, very clear who I'm supposed to be in contact with right now. Whereas with angels, they make you work for it first. They really do. They make you play with it like a puzzle ring until you finally figure it out. But honestly, I mean, the only thing to be worried about with angels and demons is your own self. If you are not stable enough, if you are not confident enough, if you're not sure enough of what you're supposed to be doing, don't don't do it. Don't play with them, because they really, they're not for the faint of heart, I would say. Like, anyone can start working with them, but you have to have the resolve to work with them and not, like, get scared and run away screaming the second they appear. You know, you gotta have some solid roots and foundations, and also a solid sense of self and boundaries before you start that mission, or else you can easily lose yourself, easily get a hard, nasty case of spiritual psychosis, and just flush a lot of work down the drain. So by all means, enjoy your time with the demons, but there is no entity, be they physical like people, be they spirits like angels and demons, that you should approach purely trusting and with your guard completely down. That's a great recipe for disaster. Do not do that. With all that said, I hope that is a helpful overview, and next week I have a very special episode for you guys that I am very excited to drop. I will show you more next week. Until then, stick around, check out my other videos, check out, all the other stuff I've got to offer, and I will see you later. Bye.